What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Transparency. It's a Monday all day. Woo! Hope you guys had a great weekend. Get on in here. Victim impact statements. Let's talk about it.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
I am not muted anymore. It's a Monday and it shows, guys. Come on, man. So let me just tell you about my weekend. First of all, I got so much sun, I don't even know what to do with it. I got so much sun. Number two, I don't even know what to do with it. Number three, I was muted. Number four, today's a Monday. Number five, why are we talking about victim impact statements? We're going to find out all about it. I rested my voice a little bit, hung out with my son, and laughed at idiots. So, anyways, oh my God, you almost blew my eardrum. Sorry, not trying to. So, the Idaho4 case, I guess it gets people really divided and understand. If I keep my same principles, like the Delphi case, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. Some people, I'm just like, oh, damn, they probably did it. Like, I mean, look at this. It's pretty bad. And other people, I'm like, yep, they're innocent until proven guilty. But I say, oh, man, there's something up here. Something doesn't seem right. But my principles and values, and that's never going to change. I'm not a flip-flopper. I'm not fickle. So the evidence is the evidence. But we have rights here in the United States of America. And I just laugh when people want to pick and choose who gets those rights. No, everybody gets those rights. It's just, that's why it's so important that we have the right people enforcing and upholding our rights. So when you have good people in power positions, good things are going to happen. When you have shitbags in powerful positions, I'm telling you, shitty things are going to happen. It's just truly that simple. If I gave two fucks about what anybody thinks about me, I would not be here on YouTube. So that's the answer, everybody. Oh, Heather, muted, Lana. You are muted. Lana, you are so muted. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, what was Lana saying? You are so muted. I was just saying that we are here on this channel to do a lot of things, but one of them will not be, I don't give a fuck. Like, you want to be here because you want to, whatever the truth is, whatever the evidence is, the evidence is. But I don't give a fuck what anybody else out there says on their channels. I don't care. I respect the work ethic of what we do, period. But I have a right to disagree with you all day. So. I'm flattered when people want to give me the time of day. So that doesn't mean I even know what you're saying, but I'm just saying as a general statement. When you think about me, how could I not be flattered? I'm flattered. I'm flattered, motherfuckers. Wow. But you know, so yeah, Heather, I got your text. I saw that I was muted. Again, what is up, everybody? How was your guys' weekend? You know, sometimes you just got to go hug a tree. Go hug a tree out there. Twizzle's getting everybody in trouble. Twizzle sticks. Ashley, I honestly have no idea. I saw your comment here. JS for Justice called us all idiots last night. Honestly, the best way that I could answer that is I don't know if that happened. I don't know if it happened, if it didn't happen, but I can promise you what J for Justice thinks will never, ever, ever impact my day one way or another. Sorry. Jeez. I don't know if you guys know this, but I know Jay. I was in Colorado with her when she committed a felony and mailed weed across state lines through all of those states to get weed back to Florida. So if you think that I would ever be concerned with somebody that would make a decision like that, no, I'm sorry. I'm not. Sorry. Oh, shit. But yeah, I'm not sure if you guys know that. Back when I was there for the Chris Watts case. Crazy part about that is that she switched rooms. And Ronnie Watts was staying at that hotel. And it's like she mailed it from our hotel that had like the same address as like Ronnie Watts. And here you're there to try to help get the family an attorney. And you're committing felonies. How fucking dumb can you be? So I don't know. That's how I feel about that. I don't know if you guys know that story, but maybe you guys should know that story. Do you guys know how high Jay was in Colorado? Blasted. They were high as fuck up there. And I mean, while I'm over here just signing on Jane Fisher and her husband in the best firm in Colorado. You guys know that we had a Life 360 app, and like, we were all supposed to be a person. So she was, I can't remember. I was Nicole Atkinson and she was Nick. And so this is how just dumb Jay was. She was supposed to meet to do a shoot at one of the houses that we were doing a 3rd-part series with, like the Life 360 app. And here I see her Life 360 app traveling. And I'm like, where is she going? This is not the way, like, where I'm at and where we're supposed to be, like, filming. And here she is traveling to a dispensary. She's telling me that oh, God, I have a headache. I can't. Next thing you know, she shuts off her locations. It was already too late. I screenshotted it, and I knew exactly where she was and who she was with, and she wasn't having headache issues. But yeah, I see the little Nick Atkinson dot going this way on the Life 360 app. And I'm over here on like, where was I? Because I was reenacting the Life 360 to show how, to show the movements. And I see the little Nick face going this way. And here I'm sitting and waiting. I'm the fucking Nicole Atkinson face that's sitting and waiting over here in Longmont. That's where I was. Fucking Longmont at that house. And I was waiting at one of the local bars, like, come meet us out here. Here's my little Nicole Atkinson head. And then here's little Nick going this way. And I'm like, what the hell? She's going the wrong way. Oh no, she knew exactly where she was going. I was like, hey, I didn't even have a YouTube channel. Then I'm like, all of your like members and subscribers are like, they think we're doing like this part 3 series of like the Life 360 app. Like, how, like, why are you just going to blow off your peeps? So, but yeah. And then here's me screenshotting all of it because I'm like, something's going on. They were just buying and packaging weed to mail across state lines. And it got intercepted by the police. I don't know if you guys know that. I don't even know what ended up happening. But the day I would ever put weed in the mail and mail it on a work trip, you know, I got some fucking problems. So do you remember that stuff, Boston? There's Annie Potts coming in here saying, I'm just driving, listening to this story. You guys, I wish it wasn't true. Yeah, listening while driving and laughing. Yeah, it was like, that's like legit a true story. I'm over here like, wait, what's going on here? Anyways, I have been called worse by better, just saying. Oh, yeah. So, no idea. Don't care. I was there for that craziness. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Mind blowing, to be honest. And then just recently, Plunder just puts out a video on Chris and Shanann's house with the domestic violence. I'm like, oh God, that house is totally cursed, man. And then there was another thing. What happened? Oh, then Chris supposedly calling Nicole or Kessinger Jezebel. Dude, I interviewed, and what's his name? Dylan Tallman used to call me like 5 times a day, blowing me up like a lunatic. And he's lying. I wouldn't let lies be out. You guys can go check out that interview I did back whenever it was in 2021. I wasn't going to let him lie on my channel. I had just started and I was like, yeah, no, you're not. The couple times I talked to Chris said, like, you think that I told Dylan Tallman about, we never talked about the case. They fucking did Bible thumping around together. So they were talking about Jesus all day. So that's what I know from that. But I just can't believe that it's like back. Like, why is anybody even entertaining Chris Watson, anything that he has to fucking say? It's very interesting that they want to do that. If anything, they should be fucking going at that DA, because if Nicole Kessinger, let's say, had anything to do with it, why the fuck would you let somebody like that off that had anything to do with harming little kids? Get fucked. Fuck you, Rourke. Like, he did that, if that's even remotely true. I could tell you that they lied about their investigation. Doesn't mean that Chris Wattson's innocent, but what were they hiding? They were definitely hiding something. So just totally misplacing where to, you know, you guys want to let Kessinger off if you guys think that she's involved? Well, who's to blame? Kessinger or the people that let her off? So now, also, Chris Watts is dumb. I want to put that on the record. Chris Watts is not a smart human being. Like, I struggled to find conversation. I tried to make it about sports, but Chris is not. He's not smart. So, he's just. He's just fucking dumb, man. Like, he's just, damn. Yeah, sorry. Just yeah. All right. There we go. Like real dumb. He's dumb. He's dumb. I'm trying to think of oh, here I'll tell you something funny where I just was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, Leon, I don't want you to talk about this case. I said, I'm not talking about this case. And I was like, what's the problem? He's like, oh, because the girl I'm dating is getting harassed or something. And I said, your family's been getting harassed for years. Why do you care about this girl? Like, who even is she? Does she even exist? Is she even real? Is she like a real person? And then I get a phone call and they said that somebody took a baseball bat and busted up her SUV, like busting up her windows. And I said, I don't believe any of y'all motherfuckers. I said, oh, really? Send me a picture. I want to see this busted up SUV. You guys, I'm like, y'all just lie. somebody drove by her house and busted up her SUV, took a baseball bat. I said, I get the fuck out of here. I said, who? Nobody even knows who you're dating. Somebody just gonna go to this random person's house and then he was like, oh, her family want to donate to Fight for Her Family. And I said, yeah, they just have to use that website. That's how you do it. Oh, and then I was like, he's like, oh, did they donate yet? Are they involved? I said, no, I haven't seen anything. What's her name? And then lo and behold, here comes some name trying to come through. It's getting rejected. And it had high levels of security so that you couldn't use other people's shit and use prepaid cards. It was just, we tried to make it so it was like, and I told Chris about that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but does that person not know how to put a credit card information in? Did she ever buy anything online in her whole entire life? Then come to find out that this person was using like P.O. box. It was just fucking so ass backwards, man. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with any of that. I was like, you guys just, I don't know what. I was like, I'm not 10 and 12 and 13. Go, bye. So I'm just, woo, bless us. Bless us for those that are not idiots. So anyways, back to Idaho4. Little story about Chris Watts to Idaho4. So Vinny Politan had Kaylee or Kaylee's dad and Kaylee's mom on. And it's been a minute since they did an interview. They seem to be doing more. News Nation would have them on, more frequently. But here's one that actually happened last week. It had been a minute. And so let's see what is up. I didn't watch it yet, so I could be raw with you guys.
Justice. And that brings me to our question, which is, it's a big one. What is justice here? What is justice for the families? Let me bring in our special guests, the mother and father of Kaylee Goncalves.
Okay, right there. I'm going to comment on it. Justice. Why aren't we saying what's the truth? Why aren't we saying what's the truth? I hate when people say, like, I want justice. I want justice. Guys, stop saying that. Stop talking about justice. Justice comes from the truth. Don't you want the truth and stuff? I want justice. No, you want the truth. From the truth, then it all plays out. But without the truth, you don't get anything. So when I say, what is justice? Well, what is the truth? Can we get to that first? What is the truth? We don't even know what the truth is, but what's justice? Get the fuck out of here. What is the truth? Okay. What is the truth? But here, what is justice? So let's see what justice is. Justice is justice is justice.
Steve and Christy Goncalves are with us, as well as the attorney representing the family, Shannon Gray. Thank you all so much for being here. I know this is never easy, but I think the nation has seen the strength of your family, Christy and Steve. And as you sit here tonight, what is justice for you? What is justice?
That's a hard question that we've thought a lot about. Sometimes I feel that there is no justice. Nothing's going to bring the kids back.
I think that's a great answer. There is no justice. Nothing's going to bring them back. Justice, like, I agree with that 100%. Nothing's going to bring them back. Great answer.
And therefore, the only thing that would be justice for me is for this person to be living in agony in the depths of hell.
I know that there's a lot of families who don't actually get somebody that is actually charged for it. So I do feel that we are lucky in that standpoint. And a lot of detectives and investigators put in a lot of hard work, and we're lucky to have that, and we want to be.
So they're lucky to have a suspect. They're lucky to be going to a trial. This is better than having, when people missing kids or that are never found, like stuff like that. Like there's no resolution. So what I'm gathering here is Steve's thankful that they're in a situation where they're actually going to have a trial. Okay.
Appreciative for that. It's a long, slow process, but we're willing and we're ready to do that. We're ready to put in the time and the effort and get through this, and to show people that this is the way that we can see justice in action, see the truth being taken in place, and then the right outcome, and society gets back to normal.
Shannon, this is a difficult journey, an absolutely difficult journey. That's why I'm so glad that you are there to help this family through this. What is your take so far on how our system of justice is doing in this case?
It's a tough question because, it's a small jurisdiction, working on a much larger jurisdiction where things move a lot faster. You think things are going to move a certain way, and sometimes they don't. So it's been difficult for the family.
See, I think that maybe they're not getting the best of advice here, because I have no idea why a lawyer would ever be saying that he's so confused. Basically, the time that this has been taking. This is a death penalty case, and so me not even being a lawyer knows the difference between a death penalty case and a case that is not a death penalty case in terms of the time. So I don't know if maybe he was telling the Goncalveses that this wasn't going to be as long as it was going to be, but I think that would be false hope. I mean, look at the cases that when they go to actual trial, there are death penalty cases, in terms of like school shootings, in terms of when multiple people's lives are taken. And it takes a long time. And this was a case that this was a whodunit for 7 weeks. Whereas like the school shootings, that's something that you're narrowed in on, and you kind of like know who that person was relatively quick, that did it. As you have a bunch of eyewitnesses. Okay. You have cameras. So I think for anybody to think that this was going to be like so quick, the only time this would have been quick is if Brian Colbert doesn't waive his right to a speedy trial.
Because a lot of times I'll say this is how A, B, and C should happen, and they don't happen that way. I have to explain why it didn't happen, and why it's taken so long, or it's taken longer than usual, or why the prosecution or the defense have done things that they've done. But I'm small compared to what Steve and Christy go through every day. I'm just thankful that they found me, that I can help them and answer any questions I can about them, and ease their minds when their minds need to be eased about the criminal justice process and what's going on. I mean, they're always going to be a part of my life, and I love them to death. So,
Christy, what are the plans?
Okay. What was the question again? I have no idea what his answer now was. Like, what was the question? Okay.
For the trial when it happens.
Well, we'll know more at the end of this month when the change of venue is heard and is decided. We plan on being there. We want to be there. There's about 10 of us in the family that intend on being there for most of it. Obviously, there's going to be days that we will not be there intentionally for, but we're hoping that it stays in Latah County. So, that's a 2-hour drive for us. The further counties that they're looking at would make it hard. So we would have to relook at things. But we want to be there.
Steve,
we intend to be there.
Steve, as you.
I wonder how many days they're planning on this hearing being for the change of venue. But there you go. You guys have it like the family wants it to be, to stay in Latah County. Well, Christy, we'll see what Steve says here.
You have been on this journey now. It seems like forever, I'm sure, for you. Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel? Do you see that, hey, at some point, this page will turn?
I think of it as this is a living example of how we get things right again. Latah County did everything. The reason this is so slow and this process is taking so long is because they tried to do everything exactly by the book so that the community could see the justice, they could see it, and it wouldn't have to be taken. Idaho's a large state. It wouldn't have to be taken.
Okay, right there, I disagree. I'm going to disagree with the fact that the preliminary hearing was supposed to happen. The preliminary hearing didn't happen. They then went to a grand jury. Then the defense started filing all those motions about the grand jury and that they wanted the dismissals for things that happened with that grand jury because of the jury instructions, because of there was a bunch of different things. I went over that one day. So to sit here and say that, wow, Latah County went by the book. Latah County did nothing by the book. Latah County went and let the FBI, and they did IGG off the rip. That is not by the book. The FBI did put that kit in a batch where it's supposed to be not law enforcement kits. So by the book, wow. I mean, I think that Steve is saying these things because he doesn't want to have bad blood. He needs to be on good terms with the police, with law enforcement. But to sit here and say that they did everything by the book is whoa. I don't know what hearing he watched when we saw Mowry on the stand, when we saw Payne on the stand, and then we saw Cyray on the stand. I truly don't know what hearing he was at if he watched that hearing, because to hear those investigators, Payne and Mowry, speak, they don't even know if they did. They don't even know if they did stuff by the book because they don't even know answers to questions that they should know. But I'm never going to judge Steve and Christy for anything that they do. Okay. But you're a parent. You've got, we can never put ourselves in their shoes, but we can always try. And, I disagree with, that's a factual thing that I'm going to disagree with. I'm allowed to factually disagree with that. I don't believe that Latah County, there's things that they have done that it's actually the reason, if you want to talk about the speed of this, having a preliminary hearing, I think would have, there's things that wouldn't have been filed then by the defense.
Taking 6-7 hours away. So I look at this as a living example of the way we correct things. When things go wrong, when things fall off the rails, like you said, you send your kids off to college. The last thing you should think of is anything other than your kid being a dumb kid and doing something embarrassing to get them on a camera or something that you're going to see at your employer the next day. That's like really bad. And for murder, for death, that's just not. That can't be new normal. That can't be something that we accept as a society. So I think we can be a living example for everyone, how we can course correct and figure this thing out and hold somebody accountable and, show that this is just a one-off that, won't happen and it's not the new norm.
Christy, are there moments where you can have happy memories? Are there moments where you can smile? and think about, Kaylee?
Oh, absolutely. You can't think about Kaylee and not smile, and we have so many.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with all that with all the kids. I think that all these kids were fun. I think that they were all smart. And they're people that you'd want to, that would be your friends. You know what I mean? And they were so very, very active on social media and with like sending stuff that there's going to be a lot of like when you do a lot of things with people, you have a lot of memories. And that's the memories that you want to remember.
Happy memories and so many videos and so many pictures. And I look at them all the time. It's those late nights that get you and you think of the tragedy that unfolded. And, it's terrorizing, it's traumatizing. But there are happy moments. There are.
Steve, if this gets the conclusion that we're all hoping for, which is the truth comes out and there's a conviction, are you prepared to make an impact statement?
Yeah, I just know my family. I know my kids. They're all strong. They're all intelligent, super smart. Every one of them has already wrote it out. They've already got set in stone. So yeah, we're willing to and just thank the community.
Okay, why would you even ask that question? Like, I'm sorry, but that blame right there of the question of the impact statement goes right there on Vinny. Why the fuck are you even asking them that question? First of all, it doesn't matter. Like, are you going to give an impact statement? Vinny, what do you think the answer to that was going to be? No. He comes out and does interviews with you and everybody else. How often? All the time. You think he's not going to give an impact statement? Like, that's just so fucking stupid. And that's a waste of a fucking question to ask. I'm sorry, but that is so ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Community, and thank all the people who've put their lives on pause so that we could have that moment, so we could have the justice, because it doesn't just happen by accident. And we've got people like Shannon in our life. It's amazing what we've been able to see, how people have shown love to our family and reached out to us and flooded us with letters and different things. So yeah, I feel an obligation to all the people that have been with us this whole time. And that's why there's that sense of pressure that, this has got to turn out a certain way. And we're looking forward to seeing that turn out.
And Shannon, do you expect any problems with all the victims that want to speak, being able to speak, if and when we get to that part of this case?
What the fuck kind of
Yeah.
Wait, what? Do you expect there to be a problem? Like, what do you mean? Like time restraining? Like, hey, all these people want to speak. I'm like, we can't. What the fuck kind of question is that? Can you imagine beforehand, like saying that you want to do this interview and you're like, hey guys, I'm going to ask you guys about victim impact speeches and if you're going to give them. And do we see any issues that there's going to be so many victims that were affected by this that some people aren't going to be able to speak? Like, I don't understand that question. I don't understand the question before. I don't understand that this is like really what we're asking people right now. Why aren't we asking them how they felt about the fact that do you guys feel that did you watch Pain? Did you watch that there's that there could be potential issues with the search warrants that were obtained? Do you feel that there's any issues with possibly evidence not being able to be seen by the jurors that could affect the outcome of this trial? Okay, because if they don't get to see that certain evidence. Or what is going on here? I can't even believe it. I don't. I would be like, what was the question? Huh? I haven't even thought about that. You know what I mean? I haven't even thought. That would be my answer. I haven't even thought about that.
That was an odd occurrence that happened over in the Lori Vallow trial where the judge was pretty, strict or adamant about following the statute when it came to who could speak and give victims impact statements. Most of the time, the immediate family and those things will be able to speak. The judge may put down, his foot when it comes to grandparents and other things that under the statute currently aren't maybe allowed, unless they're serve as a representative for the family. But I'm hoping that the whole families, anybody gets to speak what they want to. There's a reasoning to it, but I don't see there being any problems in this case. So
That's good to hear. Shannon, great. Thank you so much. Christy and Steve Goncalves, you know our thoughts are with you, and you know that the nation's thoughts are with you, and our best to all of your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we've got more. Still to come. Was the killer posting online?
Yeah, the whole thing is
a lot of the punishments that Shonda had.
Yeah, the whole thing is really strange. I grew up in Moscow, and this sort of thing doesn't really happen that often in this area.
I think North Idaho is a pretty awesome.
Really happened? Yeah, I don't think it's ever happened, buddy. I don't think it's ever happened.
Type of place, pretty safe place, very family friendly, and I have 4 murders, and then the guys just running around on the loose is a little unnerving.
Everyone's on edge, quiet and stuff. You don't see everyone as talkative, like chatty, like social as they used to be and stuff. Want to go out? I got a text from my mom. She said, "Hey, you're in Steptoe Apartments. Look outside your door." And I looked right outside, and I saw the crime tape, and I saw the unmarked police vehicles. People going in to do the crime scene search, and I was just flabbergasted that
He's smiling the whole time.
lived right there.
So he wasn't one of the neighbors that called in to say, "Oh my God, there's a white Elantra that's parked here all the time. Maybe you guys should come take a look at this car." That's a live that I'm going to be doing this week. Is think about this. Are there any tips that ever came in from neighbors, whether they were in Pennsylvania, whether they were in Idaho or Washington rather, that called in? You know, we were all on the hunt for this white Elantra. Like people were calling in tips when they would come across this white Elantra, right? Or remember we were all on Google Maps looking and seeing on what streets was there a white Elantra. Okay. Think about this. Nobody in this apartment complex, and I was there. It's a decent sized apartment complex. You would see this vehicle, but you only had, that vehicle would have only been there from December 7th until December 12, 13, 14, something like that, before it got on the road to then drive home. But nobody called in this white Honda Elantra. Okay. Nobody called it in. Wouldn't you have called it in? JLR would have called that in. But just think about all these people that were following this case, and nobody called that in. Nobody called in. Hey, I've been watching the news, or I'm watching social media, and you guys are, TikTok, it's all this case was talking about was that damn car. Not a single person called this car in. Just think about that.
There was so much talk and chatter in person and online when this was a manhunt, when no one was under arrest and investigators were trying to figure out the case, and the public and the students and everyone was scared. Everyone had theories about what was going on here. And a lot of that was online as well. Now, there was a Facebook page called the University of Idaho Murders Case Discussion. And there was someone posting on there. I want you to take a look at some of these posts from someone going by the name Papa Rodger. And these posts were very suspicious, very, very suspicious. And people were looking at them, and people started wondering, is this the killer? Which brings me to my next question, which is, was this killer posting online? Like, posting online while the killer is at large? Let me bring in my guest to help answer this question. Clinical and forensic psychologist, researcher, and expert on violent crime, and author of the book, The New Evil, Dr. Gary Brucata is back with us. And also joining me, founder of Crime Scene Collective, Alina Smith. Alina, I want to begin with you. If you can give us a little background about this discussion page on Facebook, which I believe you used to run. What raised everyone's suspicion, and what was going on this page?
Hi. So yes, I used to be the admin for the page. I created it. And so we had this member named Papa Rodger. And right from the start, he joined around November 29th, and then November 30th of 2022, he started to post, and he would just make a lot of comments and posts that made a lot of people uncomfortable.
He joined December. He's at November 29th. That's the same day that WSU found the car.
Comfortable, and he would make comments like, do you think the killer took something from the crime scene? Do you think that the killer showered there? How long do you think the murders took, like how long the length of the murders took place? And he said 15 minutes, which in the end we found out that in fact they did take about 15 minutes. He would post about the house.
So who would know that? Law enforcement?
Which nights the house had parties, and he was correct on.
Who would know that?
all of that.
Enforcement.
He was correct on, I think he started to insinuate the weapon. He was correct on that. He was correct. I mean, he was not
Who would know that? Law enforcement.
correct on the body placement, but when he did the map on those pictures that you showed, he was correct on some of those placements. There's just a lot of
Interesting about the body placement.
arguments that he would ensue with other members, and he was so strong-willed on how he was correct on
So a
every,
lot of red
pretty much every
flags.
aspect.
A lot of red flags.
So many.
So Dr. Gary Brucata, I want to put up some of the posts for Dr. Gary Brucata.
Look at how, okay, so Vinny just cuts her off. I love it.
Here's one. Regardless of what has been released, I believe this is a sexually motivated crime. Another one. The killer has a sexual dysfunction. Thoughts? Let me go a couple more.
Did the killer drive, walk, or some combination of both? Regardless of what has been released, I believe this is a sexually motivated crime.
I feel like blood ran down a few places, but it has been suppressed. The kitchen was dripping blood, but they won't admit it. And then
who do you think would know this? No offense, but the killer wouldn't know that because the killer was in and out. The killer would not know that it was dripping blood. Y'all understand that, right? The killer would have been gone. The killer wouldn't have seen that. Like what we saw.
the one that Alina referenced, they typically held Thursday night parties. Rarely did they have Saturday night parties. Dr. Gary Brucata, whether it's the man who's been accused or someone else, do you believe this could be the killer?
Well, I think it's important to understand that the type of offender we'd be dealing with if Kohberger is guilty is precisely the type that would feel a need to insinuate himself into things to assert a kind of power or control, even at that level. And so
I can't believe these people, like, they just want a talking point. Don't you think that they would already know that he was Papa Rodgers? Ridiculous. All right.
Oh, that kind of person who would view his crimes as a kind of output of work.
I don't give a fuck what he said.
On one side of the law. Possible. I've never quite made my mind up about what I feel about these particular posts, but I do think that somewhere this individual would have been insinuating himself on the internet in that period between the killings and the time of arrest.
Now, I want to put up that post, Alina, that you referenced. I know this won't be popular, but this is where I think the victims were found, and there's a map, and it looks like it's relatively accurate. What is the timeline of this and when he's at?
Interesting. About the two being in the same bed. Second floor. Vanna. Ethan.
Actually caught.
So this was 8 days prior to when he was arrested.
8 days prior. And
right.
Does it appear to be relatively accurate here? Because this is information we didn't know, Alina, right?
Right. I mean, from what I understand, I don't think it was 100% accurate. It was close to being accurate, but I mean, we still don't know 100% where the bodies were found, and that still is, I think, we'll find out when the trial. But you know, I mean, it gave us some inclination on, you know, he knew so much that it made a lot of, you know, speculation. A lot of people run wild with that and start thinking, oh, great, you know, well, he must know because he knew so many other things. But from the information we continue to get from this crime, I really don't think that was one thing he had correct. But he could have been throwing people off with that as well, because that was towards the final week where were already.
And this is when they're closing in. Before we run out of time.
Yeah,
Dr. Gary Brucata, if, and I'm saying if this was the killer posting, do you think the killer wanted to get caught, or did the killer just want to try to get a little more notoriety out of this?
I don't even fucking care what that answer is. All righty. Interesting. All right. And then at the beginning here. So that's all they had the family on for. I want to show you guys this ride a little bit because I know there was some like ride they did.
Join Core TV's Vinny Politan.
In every story, in every... It's not that busy of a road. There's not a single car that's come by for the minutes I've been here so far. But at one point in time when the house was here, outside of these trees, it did provide a pretty clear look into the side windows of some of those bedrooms of the house, and even a peek into the kitchen on the second floor where the crimes allegedly happened. Up here is the back parking lot to those apartments. And as I pan to the left, you can see that it also leads right to where the back of the King Road house where the victims lived at the time. Now, of course, the leaves are a little grown up now, but in November when it was a little cold, the leaves were off the trees, provided a clear view right into the back windows of some of those bedrooms. And super clear view of the kitchen, those glass sliding doors leading to the second floor that could have provided access.
See how that's such an easy drop down, guys. It's so easy. So easy. You would have jumped down from there. I'm just saying, if you case this place
Inside the house, remember that police reported that
that's how you would leave.
there was no signs of forced entry into the home once they arrived. And they also believe that this back lot could have been where the alleged suspect, Brian Kohlberger, parked his car and scoped out the scene that night of November 12th into November 13th when the crimes happened. Again, this is the back lot right behind where that house used to sit. And of course, Vinny, as far as the prosecution and the defense in this case.
Odds to it. To dive into the latest.
Oh my God. Now, as I was making this drive out of Washington State's campus, I did want to stop and point out these cell phone towers. We know a crucial point in this investigation into police locking down Brian Kohlberger as a potential suspect were his cell phone pings in and around Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho. So these towers right here are more than likely some of the towers they caught some of his pings on as he left and returned to campus here on Washington State University's campus in Pullman, Washington.
One thing about the Idaho student killer, the accused killer.
So I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go so you don't get stuck.
So him driving around by himself, and that is the theory that investigators and prosecutors have here, which brings me to the next question that I want to take a look at, which is how was Brian Kohlberger, the accused killer, tracked from his apartment? How did that go? Court TV producer Cody Thomas is still with us, and also joining us now, private investigator with over 20 years of experience, criminologist and
Of the Idaho student murders. Now, this is the location from where he drove to the King Road house in Moscow, Idaho, just a few minutes across the Idaho state line. I have the location queued up into GPS. I want to take you guys on the drive, what it would have looked like for Brian Kohlberger to take that night. The GPS says it's only about 18 minutes away, so not too far of a drive. And of course, right now, it's just after 8 o'clock here in Pullman, Washington. And we do know that Brian Kohlberger left this location around 2:53 a.m. So, of course, it would have been much darker, but at least while we still have a little bit of light outside, I want you guys to see what the drive would have looked like for him as we go from here to Idaho, the University of Idaho, to the King Road house location. So right now, we're going to take a little trip.
Okay, first of all, this is wrong because they better put in here going to the 700 block of Indian.
Beginning that drive that Brian Kohlberger would have made that night of November 12th, going into the morning of November 13th on the way to Moscow, Idaho.
First of all, that's not where he would have parked.
Again, we're here in Washington State's
He would have parked to the right.
campus, leaving Brian Kohlberger's apartment complex. Now, one of the first things I am noticing is that I don't see, or at least readily see, any security cameras that are clearly
He was all the way at the top of the hill. I have no idea what this guy's doing.
in sight, but we do know that according to the probable cause affidavit, that at least 5 cameras on WSU's campus and around the campus caught Kohlberger's white Elantra leaving around 2:53 a.m. and coming back after 5
Not right there.
a.m. Of course, we know those murders occurred somewhere in that window of time. Now, as I'm coming up to the exit point of campus, we see a lot of these light posts adjacent to the sidewalk here on my right. Now, what I have noticed is that every single one of those light posts that I've seen has a camera sitting right on top, a security camera. So any one of these, if this was one of the roads he took getting back on campus, could have been one of the cameras that picked him up in that white Elantra. As we've made our way off of campus out to one of the main roads nearby, you can see these huge, massive expanses of land on either side of the road. But what you don't see are streetlights or surveillance cameras out here. So I'd imagine after midnight, it's just after 8 o'clock here, but after midnight, I imagine it to be incredibly dark outside of headlights from your car or a few other cars passing by. And you see there's not too many of them right now, not that busy of a road. I can only imagine it to be less busy, again, after midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., when he was allegedly out heading toward Moscow. So now we've made it to SR 270, State Road 270, the main road connecting Pullman to Moscow, Idaho. A little bit busier.
See, welcome to Idaho right there to the right.
You see traffic intersections, a lot more cars, a lot more businesses on either side. There's a sign, welcome to Moscow. And as I'm pulling,
See that Walmart right there? That Walmart's on the left. That's where he was when he got pulled over the first time.
into this intersection, I see several surveillance cameras. More than likely, some of which that picked his car up, that white Hyundai
Don't you think they'd be talking about that one? They don't have that one, honey.
Elantra.
The first time that they put him on the map is where?
The night of the murders. Here we are. We have reached the campus.
Why are you going this way, bro? This is not the way he went. What is this man doing?
Of the University of Idaho. There's the marquee right there out front. So now we are officially on campus heading toward the King Road house where the 4 victims
He went.
lost
If he would have went this way, we'd have, oh man, what's
their
going
lives
on?
that night. There's a little lay of the land, some fields here on the right, looks like intramural fields. Some sort of barns of sorts, probably for the agriculture school up towards the right.
Wow.
As we're coming here, I see a few more cars, a little more busy around this area.
Busy.
A lot more street lights as well. They haven't quite turned on yet, but there are plenty of them out here. So I imagine it when it gets extremely dark, that it's not, too dark. It's well lit once these street lights cut on. So now we've made our way through the depths of the University of Idaho campus. As you can see, there's a group of students.
Are you kidding me? He didn't even go to the 700 block? How would he have gotten over the 700 block? Remember, he didn't have a phone to use to do like GPS. So like he has to like drive all over. What is this?
Students right here in front of me. Very busy out here at school is
Where are they going? What day did you do this on?
preparing to start back, but right up here as we make this left
Look at that dumpster. They must be
turn onto King Road. Up here on the right, I'll slow it down just a little bit, is where the King Road house would have been. You can see it's blocked off right here. This is the drive that Koberger would have had to take
Oh yeah, everyone's coming back, all that garbage.
at night to get to this location on November 13th, 2022. We have just wrapped up that drive from Koberger's apartment in Pullman over here to the University of Idaho.
Oh my God. If people are watching this, that is not it. That is not it. That's like not it at all. I just can't even believe that they're putting this out there.
In Moscow to the King Road location. Of course, the house still would have been sitting there. The sun has set, and it is still to be determined as to what Brian Koberger allegedly did or where he went once he got here. But this is what that drive would have looked like for him leaving that night on November 13th of 2022. Now, of course, Vinny, one thing I did know when I got on campus here in Moscow was that Sigma Chi house where Xana and Ethan were coming from the night of the murders, and it was only about 200 yards away from the King Road house.
Jason Jensen, unique way.
Back to Pullman, and before he left, like Cody had indicated. So it seems like a pretty button-up case in my perspective.
Well, and a couple of things that make this very compelling is the way they're able to get and synchronize some of the video they have when the cell phone is actually on to establish.
Hold on, I want to hear this part.
Because that phone is off at some point. So that's how investigators have to piece all this together.
You're absolutely right, Vinny. They had to take a combination because the theory is, or the argument will be, that Brian Koberger turned off his cell phone in order to avoid detection and tracking. So, that's a sign of a sophisticated criminal in this type of a murder. So they had to piece together real-time video footage from surveillance cameras, which, clearly indicated that the car was an Elantra. So there's no mistake. And then all the cell phone activity before and after the time of the crime really places.
There's no mention of the cell phone activity before the crime. Let's get that perfectly straight. There is no mention of that phone doing anything before 47 or 42 or.
Koberger at different parts throughout southern Moscow, all the way back to Pullman, and before he left, like Cody had indicated. So it seems like a pretty button-up case in my perspective.
Well, and a couple of things that make this very compelling is the way they're able to get and synchronize some of the video they have when the cell phone is actually on to establish that the phone is in that particular car. And that will be crucial, right? Because if you just have video,
you
it
can't
could
do
be
that.
anyone. And I think
What is he talking about? What is he talking about? They're unable to sync this car up at all with anything like that because his phone was off. So that doesn't make any sense, Vinny. I'm sorry, but that just does not make any sense. The phone cannot possibly be synced up to the car during any of this between 2:47 to 4:48, which is the time of the crime in all essence with what they're saying. Like leaving to go there, doing everything, and then, wow.
that's what the defense will be relying upon when this goes to trial.
Yes, and that's one of the things that we've experienced throughout, the legal process. And you're familiar, Vinny, as a former prosecutor. Defense attorneys like to take things, different pieces of evidence as a snapshot in time and argue against it. But it's the totality of all this evidence that will make or break the case against it.
And finally, Jason, they're going to claim that he is somewhere else. So to do that,
How?
they should
How?
have some.
How are they doing it though, Vinny? Don't you know? Because I'm sure you're watching this. So how? Because they're actually going to be using what you're saying that they're using for like the probable cause, but they didn't.
Way to prove that, either video or cell phone, just the same way that the prosecution is proving it here.
No, exactly. You would think that there would be a trail taking him from his apartment where Cody was at to the destination, the nature park where he supposedly was looking at the night sky. So we'll see, right?
Absolutely. Jason Jensen, thank you so much. Cody Thomas, great work on the ground in Moscow. I'm Vinny Politan. We will keep looking for answers as the investigation continues.
I'm sorry. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Students were brutally murdered in their home near the University of Idaho. Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana taken away so young.
I mean, they just make up.
And now
shit.
their accused killer has been charged and is preparing for trial as prosecutors seek the death penalty. It is the case the nation is waiting to see and waiting for justice. But what about the victims' families? How are they dealing with our slow-moving system? We'll find out as Kaylee's mom joins us live as we continue to investigate the Idaho student murders.
Now, the families have shown incredible strength throughout.
The ones that know her are going to be right there with us. It's going to be a tough road. That kid was, she showed light to the day. The road.
Real worries, but they're.
I don't even. Boy. I thought there was way more questions for the family, so I'm confused about that. I was really thinking there'd be way more questions for the family. This was it. They're still talking about Papa Rodgers. I just can't even believe that. You guys, if Papa Rodgers, I went over and under bets. If Papa Rodgers takes the stand, are you going to tune in that day when Papa Rodgers takes the stand? Is Papa Rodgers going to be called to the stand? Wouldn't you call Papa Rodgers to the stand if you were the defense? Fuck yeah, Papa Rodgers is a goddamn suspect. Papa Rodgers should be called to that stand. I'd be calling Papa Rodgers to the stand. Papa Rodgers is a suspect. Papa Rodgers knew all this shit. Right? Heck yeah, I'm tuning in. What's up, Kay Miller? What's up? Papa Rodgers. Kay Miller gifted 20. DMC. Everybody's turning green. Sorry I didn't see these. Mary Jane. Oh, shit, you guys. Liz. Thank you. Hell yeah. Oh, my God, you guys. You guys. If Papa Rodgers is called to the stand, shit is going to go off the hizzy up in Moscow. I think they should call Papa Rodgers to the stand. Isn't Papa Rodgers a suspect? Wouldn't Papa Rodgers? I mean, if you're going to do third-party culpability defense, if you're Brian Colbert, man, I didn't do it. Somebody else did. Who are you going to put this blame on? Well, I'm going to definitely put the blame on the feds. I'm going to put the blame on the police. I'm going to put the blame on Papa Rodgers, man. Papa Rodgers seemed to know everything about this case. So is Papa Rodgers third-party culpability defense? That's how, I mean, come on, we'll just have some fun with the way that mainstream media wants to do things, but we are totally, Papa Rodgers guilty as charged. If they can find Papa Rodgers, they need to get Papa Rodgers on the stand. I will say, come on, hit that finger, that thumb if you like it. You guys think Papa Rodgers is a boy or a girl? That's my question. Is Papa Rodgers a boy or a girl? Fuck, jeez. You guys, Papa Rodgers coming in hot. Papa Rodgers, bring it on down. Papa Rodgers knew all of this stuff, man. Papa Rodgers knew that they were in the same bed. Now, that's some interesting shit. You know, that's something interesting. I think that that's interesting for stuff that I've investigated. Very, very interesting there. Is Papa Rodger Steve Goncalves? You know, is Papa Rodger's law enforcement? I'm telling you right now, the odds are way more in the favor that Papa Rodgers is law enforcement. Papa Rodgers is somebody that's trying to get, see if somebody would answer, maybe flush somebody out. But to sit here and think that you guys do realize that Brian Kohlberger's phone and stuff would have had some trace left that he made up an account, Papa Rodgers, however many years ago, and planned to use it, all these years later. Because whoever Papa Rodgers is, they created the account way back when, and there's stuff that's on that account that was had been there for years. Okay. So I'm just saying the account that Papa Rodgers used was an account that was created a while ago. And you guys, it's 2022 at the time. Then it was 23. Then I was 24. There is, I believe, if they wanted to know who Papa Rodgers was, the police and the feds and stuff, you could totally find out who the fuck Papa Rodgers was. Didn't Papa Rodgers made statements after BK was arrested? No idea. I never swallowed the coffin daff for Papa Rodgers is everything. I wasn't in that group. I wasn't in that Facebook group or anything like that. I guarantee you people are in the DMs with Papa Rodgers, though. So I would think that you'd be able to pull that account and look at some stuff and see, especially if it was a Facebook account, you'd be able to see some stuff. I think they know who Papa Rodgers is. But I think that Papa Rodgers should take the stand. I think that Papa Rodgers should 100% be called to the stand. Because I think it's relevant to ask questions like, where did you get your information from? I just was guessing at things. You know what I mean? Like, let them say whatever. Or her. I think Papa Rodgers is 100% relevant to this, to the defense. So, but all right, guys, until next time, peace out, Girl Scout.
You haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And the other one.
It's truly for the win.
There was 2 different discs. Okay, they all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
This November 29th, 4 people that were murdered, and you want to fuck around. You got 8 families that are being affected by this, and they just mean nobody from the universe.
Shock value. And so what he did was he had taken pictures of California.
Oh, you're from. I would be outraged if I lived in Moscow right now. I'd be lighting some cars on fire out there. I'd be flipping some cars.